We don't have to relitigate 2020 anymore. The Green Bay Packers made the right choice building for the future at quarterback than chasing a receiver. And the San Francisco 49ers right now, with a guy a lot of Packer fans wanted them to take, are proving it.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts. You will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet. From the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. They help you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. It's over. We're done. We never have to talk about what happened in 2020 again. The Green Bay Packers could have moved up and taken Brandon Ayuk. They could have stayed where they were and taken T. Higgins. What they did instead was move up for Jordan Love. And this was unquestionably, now that we have the benefit of hindsight, the right call. And the reason is, and I said this on draft night, you can go back and listen to the podcast. If the quarterback works, it will be more valuable than anything you can add. Anything you can add at any other position. And let's just take this for a second. Let's just take the Jordan Love of it all aside for a second. Brandon Ayuk is an incredible receiver. He goes to San Francisco and is in the doghouse. He can't get on the field because Kyle Shanahan won't play him. You think if Kyle Shanahan won't play him, that Aaron Rodgers is going to throw him the football? It wasn't until 2022 when the Packers had to change everything that Brandon Ayuk really took off. It started a little bit in 2021. We started to see the glimpses of it in 2021, but it really wasn't until 2022. These things tend to take time. And now the 49ers are in a position where they have a mediocre quarterback who is propped up by the system and everyone around him, and they have a receiver that they don't want to pay $30 million to because the system does so much of the work. But Ayuk is worth that money by today's market standards. What has happened over the last 4 years? What has happened since Ayuk has been drafted? It hasn't been enough with the most loaded team in the NFL. And why is that true? Because they have not gotten the quarterback right. And I said this on Twitter, and 49ers fans got mad about it, but it is the God's honest truth. If the 49ers had taken Jordan Love in 2020, they win one of these Super Bowls. Because what was the trickle-down effect of not having that quarterback, of having a quarterback that you knew, not even in your heart of hearts, you knew it right out in the open that Jimmy Garoppolo was not good enough. And what did the 49ers have to do after they came up short against Patrick Mahomes? They went out and they tried to get a quarterback in 2021. They tried to run it back in 2020. And then in 2021, that draft, they realized we can't do this. We can't count on Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to get hurt. And we need to go get our guy. They move up 3 first-round picks to get Trey Lance. that blows up in their face. And only by the grace of the football gods did they find a quarterback that they can win with, or they'd still be stuck on the Jimmy Garoppolo hamster wheel, and they would be truly and rightly screwed. And they might be anyway. Brandon Ayuk is a really good football player. Yes, maybe in 2021, it would have been enough. Maybe. But this has been the best roster in football, really since 2019. Since they've been contending in the NFC, it has been by consensus, I would say near unanimity, that this is the best roster in the league. And they can't win because they don't have the quarterback. So if you wanted to, you could say, well, the Packers, they could have gotten Ayuk or T. Higgins and then just dealt with the fallout. But getting the receiver does not guarantee you the Super Bowl. That is proof. The Bengals have the most explosive 1-2 punch in the league with an elite quarterback, and they have not won a Super Bowl. But guess what? Joe Burrow said, our window is every year I'm healthy. And that is true. If you hit on the quarterback, nothing else matters. Remember the conversation we had earlier in the week about how if Jordan Love wins a Super Bowl for the Packers, that they will have completed the most remarkable star run in American sports in the modern age, in the last 40 years. And the reason is because when you're around the hoop that often, that on its own is rare. But if you're a player who can be so good that your team is around the hoop often, and that's what the best quarterbacks can do, you're going to give yourself a really good chance to win one of these rings. And it is more likely that a quarterback, as good as it looks like Jordan Love can be, will get you there. And so now that we have seen that peak level play, and you look around the league at these teams with these high paid receivers, with all the investment in that, and all of the focus that their offense pays to having those guys and feeding those guys the ball, the Chiefs just went back to back because they have Patrick Mahomes and nobody else does. The quickest, easiest, and simplest path to a Super Bowl is to have an elite quarterback. Kyle Shanahan breaks the mold a little bit. He has taken two aggressively mediocre quarterbacks to the Super Bowl. He is special, and that team, the talent that they have accumulated is special. But think of some of the teams that the Packers have had. Like that 2021 team, it was a good team. It was not a special team, but they won 13 games. They were the number 1 overall seed. If the ball bounces a little bit differently, if the ball bounces out of the back of the end zone rather than into the arms of a waiting 49er in 2021, ironic that it was the 49ers in that game, who knows what could have been different. But that wasn't the Packers have not had a roster, I don't think, as good as the one that the 49ers had last year and maybe the year before. Maybe not since the early, like the 2009, 2010, 11 range would be the last time that they had a roster that good, maybe 2014. But we're talking about two legit receivers, arguably the best tight end in the league, the best running back in the league, the best pass rush in the league, the best linebackers in the league, the best play caller in the league. The Packers have not and did not have that. So what Jordan Love does for you is if you hit, and I think you can, Jordan Love and Brandon Ayuk are coincidentally very similar in terms of player quality. Like, I don't know that Brandon Ayuk is ever going to be the best receiver in the league, but there could be seasons where he is an all-pro. There are other receivers whose physical profiles may always, like Jamar Chase, is always going to be more physically dominant than Brandon Ayuk. But Ayuk could be more productive, especially in the right system with the right quarterback throwing him the ball with the right usage. That's what Jordan Love is. Like, Jordan Love versus Mahomes or Allen or even Herbert, I don't know, but think about this. Joe Burrow, the NFL thinks is better than Justin Herbert, is better than Josh Allen. Now, the NFL list, we'll get to another one of the NFL lists at the end of the show, but that's what Jordan Love is. And getting that version of the player, I talk about this all the time. If the player quality is the same, you'd rather have the quarterback. And this is proof. The Packers are opening a window now that is as long as Jordan Love is the quarterback. That is their contention window. And it was and is the smart play to say, we believe if this guy hits, he does that for us. It's not, because this was not a Christian Ponder. They didn't take Mac Jones instead of Brandon Ayuk, or even a Brock Purdy, who's just a totally fine, capable quarterback, like the 12th or 16th best quarterback who can play like the 8th or 10th at his best, but is really going to be a product of what is around him. That's not who they drafted. They drafted a guy who has the upside to be one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL. And chasing that, we're seeing it play out. Right now in Green Bay, they've given themselves a 10-year runway, maybe a 15-year runway with Jordan Love. Getting Brandon Ayuk would have given them a 2-year runway. Now, with Aaron Rodgers, you had the quarterback, but you also knew by then, the reason you're drafting Jordan Love is you don't know that Aaron Rodgers is going to become MVP Aaron Rodgers. Remember, you're getting 2019 Aaron Rodgers. That was the version that the Packers had. So saying we have to chase the upside of the quarterback, it was the right call then, and it's the right call now. Now, there is this question of youth on this team. Jordan Love is a big part of it. And Lions fans are a little peeved about this. We'll talk about it next on Locked On Packers. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. That's because it's not just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So I saw this question on Twitter the other day that, the Packers are the youngest team in the league, average age 25, but the Lions are 25.7. And the question was raised, does that difference make a difference? And my answer is yes, and not because the 0.7 matters that much. It doesn't. It's because of where the Packers are young. And I could just say Jordan Love. Like that would really be, I win the argument. Because Jordan Love is 25, has only 1 year under his belt, and looked like the best quarterback in the league the second half of the season. Made clear and obvious improvements over the course of the season with, titles. All of the caveats that I've offered over the last year, basically. The, revolving door at left tackle before it became Rasheed Walker, all the first-year players, all that stuff. First-year quarterback, first-year play caller with that quarterback, all that stuff. All the caveats. He was incredible in the second half of the season. he is the young player that matters. Jared Goff is a fine quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback, top 12 for sure. But he's capped out. And that's different than what the Packers have. Jordan Love was better than Jared Goff last year and projects to be better this year and the year after and the year after and the year after. Let's just start there. Okay? Then you look at the other premium positions. Let's look at receiver. The Lions, they have youth. Amon-Ra St. Brown, pretty young still. Just got paid, pretty young. They have some other youth, but Jameson Williams has shown exactly zero in the NFL. He's shown nothing to get us excited. The Packers have 5 receivers who have shown more flashes in the NFL, shown more consistency in the NFL than Jameson Williams. Those positions matter more. So they don't have anyone as good as Amon-Ra St. Brown, but they have all of these guys who can get better and better and better. And they were already a top 5 drop back EPA passing offense last year. That's redundant because you can't drop back and do anything else. So let's stay there. Offensive line. The Packers have 2 rising junior in the NFL tackles. Zach Tom, 2022 draft class. Rasheed Walker, 2022 draft class. They are rising players in addition to being rising juniors because we're in the summer and all that stuff. Now, Penei Sewell is better than Zach Tom or Rasheed Walker. Taylor Decker is better than Rasheed Walker or Zach Tom. But which way is Decker's arrow pointing? Now, Penei Sewell can just go up and up and up. No question about it. But this whole offensive line for the Packers, which was a top 5 pass protecting group last year, they're all young. They're all young. Elton Jenkins, who's the 2019 draft, is the elder statesman of this offensive line. And even with the questions with Josh Myers and even with the issues, we don't know what Sean Ryan is going to be. They drafted Jordan Morgan to plug whatever leak they need there. But Zach Tom and Rasheed Walker were playing like one of the elite tackle groups in the league by the end of the season as a duo. Premium position youth. Okay? Pass rush. The Lions have Aiden Hutchinson, and that's it. Well, the Packers have Rashawn Gary. They have Lucas Van Ness. They have Kingsley Enagbare. They have Devontae Wyatt. They have Carl Brooks. They have Kenny Clark, who's remarkably not 35, despite being drafted a million years ago, despite being drafted almost a decade ago. It's not a lie. Look it up. They have youth at that spot. And then the Lions do have youth at corner, but they are relying on rookies, and that's a different thing. They need Terrion Arnold to come in and play well right away, or they are in big trouble. And what is going to be on my podcast gravestone? Most rookies are bad. And the rest of that secondary is not young. Like, we know what Emmanuel Mosley is. We know what Amik Robertson is. We know what Carlton Davis is. There's not an expectation that they're going to get better and better and better. So, okay, cool. You have a young running back. You've got a young linebacker who was bad, by the way, last year. Young tight end. That's great. So do the Packers. And they've got 2. Even the free agents the Packers just brought in at safety, Xavier McKinney, he's young. Javon Bullard now, Edrin Cooper, like even at the places where they're trying to fill the gaps. Now, again, I can't talk out of both sides of my mouth about this. Most rookies are bad. Understand that. But you bring in Xavier McKinney to fill a key need in your defense. Safety was a key need. The Lions, their free agent, DJ Reader, much older and much less impactful in the passing game than Xavier McKinney. The Packers' best corner, Jair Alexander, is still relatively young, and he's one of the best players at his position in the league. Eric Stokes, if he regains his form, Carrington Valentine, these are young players in the case of Stokes and Valentine for sure, who can get better and have already shown that they can be quality players. We'll see about Eric Stokes' injuries. But the Lions don't have that. Who are their young developmental players that have already shown something at that position? They don't have them. That's the difference. That's why the Packers youth matters more, because it's at positions that matter more. I want to talk about Ja more, and we'll do that to close today's Locked On Packers. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at BetterHelp. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives, to see what they have and wonder why you don't, or to look at what you have and wonder why it's not more. And it might look like that's more true than it is in real life because of social media. Therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. This is something that I try and remind myself of on a daily basis, to not constantly compare myself to other people in terms of what they have, what they're doing. I try and appreciate what I have and figure out what I want, where I'm going next. And therapy can help you do the same. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/lockedon. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Jair Alexander, as rated by the NFL scouts and evaluators and coaches that Jeremy Fowler at ESPN talks to, was ranked the 7th best cornerback in the league. And it's frankly hard to argue with the 6 ahead of him based on what we saw last year. He was 4th heading into the 2023 season. Part of that was he was hurt in 2022. Remember, he was arguably the year before the best corner in the league. The last time we saw him for a healthy season, but that's now 4 years ago. We've talked a lot about how Jeff Hafley can help the secondary, and Eric Stokes is such a good fit for what he's going to want to do. We think we haven't talked enough, because there's so many things that we've had to talk about the impact on a player like Jair Alexander, because Ja can do anything. He can play anywhere. But you want to give a player like that the chance to show off, to shine with his versatility. Not, hey, you're going to play 8 yards off and live there all the time. It was clear he was not engaged all the time. Jeff Hafley is a DB's coach. He's the kind of player who connects, or kind of coach who connects with his players. And yeah, Jair Alexander can play press man. We saw it against Justin Jefferson. He gets up for those games in those big moments. We've seen him take on that responsibility. Now, Jeff Hafley, I don't think is going to want to just match. This is not going to all of a sudden turn into, yeah, Ja, you got that guy all day. I don't think we're going to see that with any sort of consistency. But we will see more flexibility. We will see more techniques, more different kinds of coverages that Ja can play versus just soft zone coverage. Now, he's a very good off-zone coverage corner because he's so reactive, he's so twitchy that he can click and close, break down to the ball, come downhill, and either make a play on the ball or catch the ball and be gone the other way. We saw him do that a number of times over the course of his NFL career. He's really good ranging to the ball, ranging out of his zone. He's done it a couple times in games that I can think of, Justin Fields ranging out of his zone to go make a play. or baiting Fields into a throw. But we also know he can play sticky man coverage. He did it in the Cowboys game. That's how he got the interception. He is in Brandon Cook's shirt and fights him for the ball and wins. He can do that too. And so I think Jeff Hafley can turn Jair Alexander into what he should be, and that is a force multiplier. Make him so that he makes everyone better because he can, because he's capable of doing that merely by saying, I got this over here. Even if it is locking down one side because you're in man coverage, or because you can disguise coverages better with him because he can start pressed up and bail, or because he can play off, make it look like it's a zone coverage, and all of a sudden he takes 3 steps and he's so explosive that he can be running with the receiver anywhere he needs to if they're in man coverage. So I think we've talked most with Jeff Hafley about what he can do for the front and the pass rush, the safeties, how he can use them, and all the creative ways that he can do that. And that's all true. But when you have a player who we've seen play at a star level, a superstar level even, and you bring in a new coach, you hope that the low-hanging fruit is get the best players to play like the best players again. And then it's figure out the rookies, the role players, all that stuff. The most important thing for Jeff Hafley is to maximize Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Jair Alexander. That's it. Start there and get everything else to work after that. And I think it's not why Jeff Hafley is there, but it is why I think it is easy to be so excited about what the Packers can build here. Because the front in this scheme, perfect fit. The corners in this scheme, perfect fit. They got the linebackers, at least body type wise and athletic profile wise, to play this defense. And they drafted and signed safeties, versatile, dynamic safeties. They've built this defense in the image of Jeff Hafley. Go maximize the best players and you can get better. It's the easiest path to getting better. All right, back next week. If there is a Jordan Love contract to talk about, we will have an emergency pod to talk about it. So that will be on Twitter. I will post that we're doing a thing. I'll throw the link on there and we'll go live on YouTube. So I'll let you know. I may go live quickly on Instagram, our Locked On Packers Instagram, to let you know when we're going live on YouTube, because the push notifications can be weird. But so subscribe on YouTube. I'll go live on Instagram on our Locked On Packers just for a minute to say, hey, we're going live on YouTube. I just wanted to get you the push notification. Go. We'll be there in a minute. So subscribe over on Locked On Packers on our Instagram page and on YouTube, so you make sure you don't miss these breaking news moments. If you're new here, welcome. We also go live after every game. So even preseason games, we're going to go live. We went some of our biggest streams ever last year were on preseason games because everyone was so excited to see Jordan Love in this offense, and they cooked. So back next week, much more. Remember, follow on Instagram, follow on YouTube, so you can stay Locked On Packers.